joining us today for our 55th episode of IIT India Digital Conversations, an exclusive webinar on the highly anticipated topic of Enterprise Intelligent Connectivity, Playbook India Edition. We are thrilled to have you here as we navigate the intricacies of intelligent connectivity within the unique context of Indian business landscape. India, with its vibrant economy, diverse industries, and a rapidly evolving technological landscape, presents a fascinating playground for enterprises seeking to capitalize on intelligent connectivity. Today, we have assembled a stellar panel of industry experts, thought leaders, and innovators who will guide us through the intricate chapters of the Enterprise Intelligent Connectivity Playbook, specifically designed for the Indian market. During this 90-minute immersive session, we will deep dive into the key elements of the playbook, offering practical insights and actionable strategies to help Indian organizations harness the transformative power of intelligent connectivity. I am Meena Singh, your host for this series. I am part of the events development team at the IT India. And before we begin our session, please allow me to take a couple of your minutes and tell you a little more about IT and the session today. The Institution of Engineering Technology, also known as the IET, is an 150-year-old global organization inspiring, informing, and influencing the engineering community to engineer a better world. As a diverse home across engineering and technology, we share the knowledge that helps make better sense of the world to solve the challenges that matter. At the IIT, we want to grow actionable knowledge and want to solve India centric engineering issues and want to enhance people's lives using technology and thought leadership to drive innovation. Here is a short video which will tell you more about IIT.
Our world is changing.
Engineering is changing.
Society is changing.
We are changing.
We're here to inspire,
Inform.
Influence.
And change perceptions.
Demonstrating how important engineers and technicians are in our lives.
Championing achievements.
Helping to create new technologies that enable us to thrive.
And inspiring future generations to make a difference.
Together, we discover new concepts by turning theory into practice.
Create solutions to society's biggest challenges.
Share knowledge and expertise through our networks.
Grow by developing new skills and capabilities.
Evolve and adapt for the future.
We are the IET.
Together, we are engineering a better world.
Thank you so much for going through the video with us. Now, without further ado, let me introduce the elite speakers that we have today. Our first speaker is Mr. Saibal Roy, who is the Senior Vice President and Business Head North and East India at Bharti Airtel. Welcome, sir.
Hello, everybody.
Our second speaker is Monica Gupta. She is
Thank you,
the
Meena, for
global
having me.
5G and edge expert leading industry use cases and alliances at Capgemini. Welcome, ma'am.
Everyone, I'm Meena.
And finally, coming to our third speaker, who is also the moderator of the session, Mr. Sunil David, Digital Technology Consultant, ex-Regional Director at AT&T, and Chair of our Digital Communications Group at the IT Future Tech Map. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Meena, for that introduction, and good afternoon to all those who joined us virtually. A warm welcome to the esteemed panelists, Saibal Roy and Monica. Well, friends, today, 17th May, celebrated as the World Telecom Day. And I wish to say that I've been proud to be associated with the telecom industry for almost 25 years now. Of those 25 years, 20 years with AT&T, over two stints, two different roles, and 5 years with the Australian telecom player Telstra, again, two different roles, two different stints. Friends, we have seen the massive strides made by the telecom industry over the last few decades. and its profound impact it had on the world, including India. Uh, in our increasingly connected global society, I must say interconnected global society, the telecom industry stands at the backbone of modern communication, linking individuals, communities, and nations like never before. And its influence can be felt across every facet of our life, transcending geographical boundaries and time zones. The importance of the telecom industry cannot be overstated. It serves as a catalyst for economic growth, driving innovation, productivity, and efficiency across multiple sectors, be it manufacturing, retail, healthcare, and so on. And by providing the infrastructure and platforms that are enabling enterprises and businesses to collaborate, operate, and reach customers globally, telecom networks are a driving force behind economic expansion and job creation. And friends, who can ever forget the role that the telecom industry played during the COVID situation? It made sure that businesses continued to run. The wheels of the economy were moving, albeit slowly, but nevertheless, we could continue to run our businesses during that COVID situation. And hats off to all the telecom providers who provided that infrastructure that enabled businesses to continue to collaborate, individuals to continue to collaborate, and so on. Friends, if you just look back, every upgrade in connectivity over the last few decades has driven social development. During the industrial era, telegraphs and telephones transformed long distance communication. In the information era, mobile, fiber, and data communications have supported the explosive growth of the internet and rapid development of the global economy. I can just give you some of my own experiences. When I joined the industry in the 1994, that was my first job. I used to work for a company which used to make statistical multiplexers. And during those days, if you recollect, the speeds were like 9.6 kbps, 14.4 kbps. And at that point in time, you had mainframe and terminal connectivity. You had mainframe sitting in large cities, and you had all these terminals which are connecting to mainframes. I still recollect when I was working for this company called Cygnus, who made stat muxes. I used to go around the country installing these muxes at railway reservation centers, and these terminals used to connect to the mainframe computer. And instead of using multiple lease lines, this multiplexer used to converge all those lease lines and have one single link going and connecting to the mainframe computer. And 96, if memories are still fresh in my mind when I joined Telstra, which had a joint venture with VSNL at that point in time. At that point in time, they were providing VSAT-based communications, and we used to call those chuts, which are there on top of the roofs, to go and install those 64 kbps links, 128 kbps links. Still never forget, in the mid 90s, a 128 kbps link used to cost about 18 lakhs per annum. And now you've seen how this transition, right? So from kilobits to megabits per second, and now you're talking about gigabits per second. And if you also recall those days in the mid 90s and early 2000, we used to use these packet switch networks, X25 based packet switch networks, then frame relay, and then to low speed lease line networks, and then private MPLS VPNs. And now, of course, you're talking about high speed networks, you're talking about software defined WAN, right? So we've seen this whole, we kind of seen this whole journey over the last few decades. Now, friends, earlier, if it was all about plain vanilla connectivity, now we are entering the intelligent era. And an intelligent era would require intelligent connectivity, right? And hence, no better time than this to have the discussion centered around intelligent connectivity. And that's why we've titled the topic Enterprise Intelligent Connectivity India Playbook Edition. Because we really want to discuss as to how India can really leverage the intelligent connectivity as we aspire to be a digital first nation. I think as a country, we really should be proud what we have done in the digital space, right? The kind of digital public cloud platforms that we built, be it Aadhaar, be it the GST net, be it CoWIN, UPI. I think we really have to commend the leadership for building these kind of platforms. And those are all powered by very good networks, right? Now, if you just look at individuals, homes, and enterprise, they require more than connectivity, right? So we are increasingly seeing embedding of new technologies like cloud, AI, and IoT with connectivity, right? And hence the term intelligent connectivity. Now, with the advent of technologies like 5G, which was launched in India about 7 months back, IoT, of course, has been around for some time, AI and machine learning, 3D printing, and metaverse, which is still in its early days, I would say that we are at the cusp of a digital revolution that is going to reshape and reimagine industries and economies in the years ahead. Now, in the intelligent era that we live in, intelligent connectivity will become a critical enabler for businesses across various industries, be it manufacturing, be it retail, healthcare, and so on. And COVID-19 actually accelerated digital transformation initiatives for most organizations. Now, if you just look at it in two parts, so on one side you have the telecom providers. It provides a great opportunity for the telecom providers to add layers over connectivity now, right? And the opportunity for them to provide end-to-end solutions that can create business impact for enterprises, and that will mean additional revenue streams for the telecom providers. In fact, last year when we had a DC series, the topic was about telcos to techcos. The need for telcos to really morph into technology companies so that they can offer end-to-end solutions to enterprises, and the need to kind of merge all these technologies, 5G in conjunction with IoT and AI and other technologies, that will really drive business impact. Now, as far as enterprises are concerned, intelligent connectivity can address a number of challenges. If you just look at manufacturing, within the shop floor itself, there are enough and more use cases where you can use 5G coupled with IoT and AI and machine learning to make sure that you're improving your quality, predictive maintenance of machines, using 5G in conjunction with AR and VR to make sure that you're able to repair complex machinery, using a 5G for better supply chain visibility. If you look at retail, trying to enhance customer experience, we started to see use of 5G coupled with IoT in healthcare also. In fact, a couple of years back, a remote surgery was done in China using a 5G network coupled with AR and VR. So you had a surgeon who was not able to make it to the operating theater that day, and using a 5G network, he was actually giving step-by-step instruction to the surgeons in the operating theater to help in a particular surgery, right? So use cases today, when you look at 5G, IoT, AI, machine learning, they're already been there. We'll probably see a lot more acceleration and growth of these use cases, and intelligent connectivity, which is the fusion of all these technologies, is going to play a huge part as we continue on this intelligent era or intelligent journey. Now, to discuss about this topic, we have Saibal and Monica. Saibal would represent the telecom industry, and he would be talking about what Airtel is doing in the connectivity space. How are they trying to create monetization opportunities? And we have Monica Gupta from Capgemini, who comes with a very strong telecom background, having worked with Airtel and Ericsson before. And she, by virtue of a global role, will be talking about what her clients, what her partners are doing globally. She would also share about what is that from an India standpoint that we can take from those learnings, right? So to start with, I'm going to get Saibal into the discussion first. So Saibal, thank you so much for taking time to address all of us. And before I ask you the question, Saibal, congratulations on a great first quarter of 2023. I had a chance to see your results, almost 50% growth in net profit. ARPUs have gone up, revenues have gone up. So yeah, that is nicely setting you up for this new year. So congrats on a great set of results, Saibal. Yeah.
Thank you, Suril, for that. In fact, it's really heartening to say that on the World Telecom Day, the results have come out yesterday, and it's really great results which we've had. All because I'm just taking a cue from your perspective when you said that telecom was dull and drab. Now telecom is very, very exciting. And actually, we've gotten to the world of techcos rather than telcos right now. Over to you.
Right, Saibal. So Saibal, see, Airtel has been very strong in the enterprise segment and been around addressing this segment for more than 2 decades now. We have come with a very strong set of capabilities, and you always position yourself to an enterprise as someone who can provide a complete solution and not just pure connectivity, right? So whether it's IoT, the data center solution that you offer by virtue of your venture extra, cloud enablement, collaboration services, cyber security. So can you elaborate more, Saibal, about the role that Airtel is playing when it comes to intelligent connectivity, especially to enterprise customers? And how are you trying to create differentiation in a very competitive marketplace? And if you can share some examples, that will be great, Sagar.
Yeah, thank you. And that's a very interesting question because we were a dull and drab organization, perhaps from an industry vertical perspective. When I joined telecom, which was way perhaps Sunil, the same similar sort of times, and we used to work on X.25 ATMs and all that stuff we used to work on. And life is completely a change perspective. But 3-4 years back, telecom was not a happening place. I would see none of the graduates coming out and joining telecom industry, the MBA graduates. They would have joined some other industry. Retail was exciting, everything was exciting, but telecom was never exciting. But all of a sudden, one, I would say accelerator was COVID. That definitely accelerated the entire perspective of telecom getting into a different domain. We became all of a sudden the fuel to run the economy, which is the most important perspective. And then ultimately, with this fueling, what actually happened is that today, without telecom and without being a connected player, you can't make things happen. Today, the way things are going, and we are getting into connected world, not only connected individual, it is connected machines. Everything gets connected, and time is not very far off. We will see autonomous cars also coming on the road. We will have driverless cars. All that stuff is going to be there. But for the basic backbone, it has to be telecom. So all of a sudden, telecom is very, very exciting. And I feel like a 16-year-old back in telecom. That's what I feel. So if I may say, what we are doing, and let me come back to your question. We are doing a lot of stuff. And obviously, I would say what telecom is today, we as a service provider have created a platform rather than a network. It is much more than a network, because ultimately, what we are saying is in the assets which we have, which is the undersea cables, which is 350,000 root kilometers of fiber, and then within the country, which is about another 350,000 root kilometers of fiber, which is national long distance, and then 250,000 towers. So with such a huge asset strength available, obviously there are many things which are coming up, and basic telecom, definitely connectivity is very, very important. But how do we get into the next level of telecom connectivity? So we've actually got into the love of, in fact, from being a telco to a techco now. What we do, and I'll just give you some snippets of it, what we do. We've got complete advanced network infrastructure, which has got complete fiber optic, and this is the asset strength which we talked about. So we have a 4G, 5G play which is coming. We've been actually going into a jet speed of rollout of 5G across cities. We are right now, perhaps as I say, we will be at 6,000 plus cities of 5G rollout, which has been done in the country. And by March 2023, entire country will be lit up on 5G. That's the way it is looking like. And with the 5G being there, I would say what we have created is actually a supercomputer of telecom. Once you have a supercomputer, you can do anything and everything. After all, it's all applications which you want to run. Now, getting deeper into this, what we are doing is from a network as a service, because network has actually become intelligent. It's a very interesting topic which you picked up, which is intelligent network. Network is not only a bare minimum network, which is a broadband network, if I say from a home perspective. From a broadband also, you will have to have many things there. How can you manage a network? That's the requirement of our enterprise customer. How can you do a managed routing of a network? How can you do an intelligent routing of a network? How can you have a secure network? So these are all questions which are being asked by the enterprise domain, enterprise teams across, and they would like to have a single point of contact or a single player who can do all this stuff. So with this particular thing, our basic motto always has been connectivity. But with the connectivity, we are actually getting digressed into further areas, like we've got into cybersecurity. We've gone into other perspectives also, which I'll talk later. But getting into the network piece, we've got now variants of network, like obviously there is a wireless variant which is available, which is on the RF, which is the conventional RF. Then we also have 4G and 5G. Now 5G is the latest thing in coming. Now with the 5G, what we get with 5G is we got low latency and highest of bandwidths available. With that, it actually opens up a different frontier altogether to get run a lot of applications. Now, with the manufacturing vertical, this is going to be of exceedingly importance, because with the manufacturing vertical, if you have to do today, you have to do Industry 4.0 has to be a reality. Industry 4.0, we've been talking about a lot of stuff, but how will it happen till the time you have robust connectivity available? With 5G being there, digital twin is a reality. You can do it now with the lowest of latency, edge networks being there, edge cloud being there. All this is a reality now which can be done. It is all connectivity is there, intelligent connectivity is there, applications have to be devised now with the players all across. And I think as a telecom industry vertical, we are much ahead of the curve from the application standpoint. I think applications still needs to be developed. They're getting into the process, because if I say we launched 7 months back 5G, but if you see the ecosystem of devices was a challenge, but network was not a challenge. Network is available. So that's a very interesting piece, if I may say. And this is perhaps for the first time when network is ahead of the curve of the entire perspective of the gamut. Network, devices, and the applications, all these three make things happen for enterprise, right? Today, I can assure you across India that network is not a challenge for you. So you have all the applications you can run on this. Beyond this, if I may say, what all we are doing in network, with intelligent network, SD-WAN definitely, which you talked about, we definitely have that platform. It is all the models available in SD-WAN, which is like managed network, unmanaged network, captive network, whatever you think of, it is available. Work from anywhere, that's another solution which is available. I mean, today, death of distance is an integral part of the system. As we see right now, I'm sure most of us are using managed Wi-Fi without then it cannot work. Then bandwidth on demand, which is also going to be a reality. Today, it is definitely available in various places which are high bandwidth areas, but I'm sure in the next 2-3 years down the line, we'll have bandwidth on demand, which is just at a click of a button. You need bandwidth at times. Reality. It is at this point of time, this party which will be available. So, stroke of a button, you will have everything which is there. Then we get into what are we further doing beyond connectivity, which is also interesting, which you talked about, Nextra. I will touch upon that. Nextra is a wholly owned subsidiary of Airtel, which is a data center company. And with Nextra being there, we've got, in fact, 120 edge data centers and 12 large data centers, which we have. So if you talk more, we have most of the, all the, in fact, OTTs. So that's the strength which we carry. Various pods of various OTTs run with us. And we are actually a carrier from a data center perspective also. There are many carriers who have housed with us within our data center. And with petabytes of data now flowing within the data center, it's a strong engine for growth, in fact. And with the government also facilitating, I think data center is going to blast like anything. It is in an explosive mode. Every data center company is growing very well. It is not only us. Most of the data center companies are doing very well because the requirement is much more than the facilities available. So that's another strength area which we have. And that definitely leads us to the cloud perspective also. So with the data center being there, we can offer sovereign cloud, which is of utmost importance. Today, the enterprise space, if I may say, there is a combination of hybrid network or hybrid cloud which is required, and which is definitely Airtel is at the onset. We can definitely do that, and we have the capabilities of doing all across, and we've been serving many customers on this particular ground, where we have a combination of public network, public cloud, as well as a private cloud, which is again the need of the hour, because there are certain mission criticals which you would like to have on a public cloud, and something which is non-critical you would like to have on a private cloud. These are all applications which is available. The other advantage with us is that today, if I may say, classically speaking, you have to go to cloud, and for that you need internet. There are various solutions which we have devised that you don't need to go to an internet. Without internet also, you can go to any hyperscaler cloud. And we can give you one particular network to connect to all hyperscaler clouds. So ultimately, that reduces your cost of cybersecurity also. With the advent of internet, always you will have a cybersecurity which is going to be the play. But with the entire thing coming into one particular pipe itself, the cost of security goes down. Your control is much more higher, because, and you might ask me a question: how will we do work from anywhere? We can do work from anywhere because we can do wireless network on 5G or a 4G dongles, and then from that we can come into the cloud. So that is also you can be absorbed a complete internet as such. Beyond this, there's another interesting piece. Sunil, you have been a master of that, which is IoT. IoT is one domain which we are growing extremely rapidly. That's a growth engine, which I may say. Last 2 years, we were behind completely in fact, in this particular race. Today, I can proudly say, as Airtel, we have got 52.8% market share, and which is you name any organization across India, everybody seems to be working with us. That's the strength which we have created because we have the 2G network running. When we have the 4G network running, 3G is definitely off. With all these networks available, we have more than 18 million devices connected today. So that's a very and the growth is happening in IoT, in the utility sector, in the automobile sector, in the connected devices sector. I would definitely see explosion of IoT growth, because I would say at a given point of time we will all have 15 to 20 devices within our home itself which will be connected. Maybe individually we'll have 1 or 2 phones. That's it. That's the strength which IoT gets in, and it's a need of the hour, which is very important. Let me tell you. Without connectivity, without connected devices, you can't run today. If you want to do analytics of anything, suppose vehicle analytics and everything needs connectivity. And we name a brand, everybody works with us. Beyond this, we also do industry-specific solutions in the connected space, if I may say, which could be of like, I'll just give you an example. This is an interesting example which came out like today in the healthcare industry. The ambulance, when it takes the patient, that patient, in fact, that's the actually the golden hour, if I may say. When you have suppose a patient has had a heart attack, and that is the golden hour when the mortality rate is 10%. Patients don't even reach the hospital, and they actually leave. I mean, before they reach the hospital, mortality rate is there. Now, what we've done is with the 5G being there, and because the advantage of 5G is lowest latency, highest of bandwidth. So with that, what we can do is once the patient enters the ambulance itself, the ambulance gets converted into an ICU, and there is a doctor perhaps would be there, maybe a general doctor would be there at the ambulance itself. But from the command center, the patient will be started. He'll be on treatment immediately with a CCU, Central Command Unit, and they will take charge with the parameters would be controlled. So that's the strength which we have. Now, this will be a reality now. The moment the entire, say, the city is wired, 5G is enabled, when the ambulance can run across the city with a 5G, fully seamless 5G, this will be a reality. We've actually tested this. We have actually shown this, in fact, in the IMC, and it was an interesting perspective. More hospitals are already talking to us on this piece. So there are so many applications which are running on this, and they can go on and on, so many applications as such. But these are certain things, and of course, on the cybersecurity space, which is also an important perspective, it does not mean that I am saying that with MPLS you can get connected and you don't need internet. Internet is a very important stuff, and for that we also need cybersecurity. With our SOC availability, which is there, which is also again it is not our mainstay, but we've actually digressed into it. We've actually progressed in making a cybersecurity platform, and today SOC is one of the key things which we do. So we have actually positioned ourselves as a cybersecurity solution provider rather than being a reseller. So that's the way we do. So if you see the genesis of entire thing, from connectivity to intelligent connectivity and further applications, there are many and more to be done. But of course, I can keep on talking. But I think overall, in a snippet perspective, these are the perspectives which we are doing. In addition to the lastly, which I also would say this one more thing is that collaboration as well as partnership. This is also one more thing which is very important for us, because we cannot be master of all. That's not the perspective. So if we cannot be master of all, we need to be also partnering with the masters to provide a very good solution. Like, just to give you an example, with Capgemini, we've been participating and partnering in private networks, which is also going to be for Industry 4.0. And so there are very areas that we choose our partners in such a manner that we get the best in the industry for the enterprise vertical. So in a nutshell, we're all over, and we can make things happen for the enterprise to be taken care of completely. And that's the reason today I can proudly say Airtel is the #1 B2B player in the country.
Right. Thank you so much, Saibal. I think you covered quite a lot in terms of what you are offering. You spoke about network, you spoke about what you are doing in the data center space. You talked about cybersecurity, you talked about IoT, and I fully concur with you, Saibal. The opportunity in IoT is huge. I think as a country, we just barely scratched the surface. I think there are billions of assets that can be sensorized. And imagine the impact it would have. As you sensorize assets, more data getting generated, you need a lot more data centers, more cloud. Then, of course, you have AI and machine learning. And then you talked about digital twins. So I think great set of capabilities. And thanks for sharing that example about connected ambulance. I think it was also published outside, right? I mean, if I recollect, your partnership with Cisco was regarding the connected ambulance, but that's a great use case where can be definitely replicated across many hospital chains. And I think the one point which I really liked, you talked about collaboration and partners, and at the end of the day, it's all about an ecosystem, right? I think unless you have that ecosystem together, it's going to be really tough to provide that complete solution that our customer wants. And maybe Airtel can is already playing that role of being someone who's orchestrating that ecosystem by virtue of all your capabilities. So thanks, Saibal. Let me move to Monica. So Monica, you have a global role within Capgemini, working with a number of global clients, partners across the world. You've been traveling like crazy over the last few months. I know US, Hanover, and so many places. So can you share some of the trends that we have been seeing as far as intelligent connectivity is concerned, especially among the enterprise segment, Monica?
Sure, Sunil. So, I think prior to me starting, Sebel has beautifully laid the whole, transversal offering of connectivity and the whole range of offering. And in that regard, while of course I will share my global perspective, but one thing which always amazes me about India is, one, the cutting edge technology and the, relevance of the products and also the scale of operations. I mean, when you talk of these million of subscribers, I mean, anything which we do, be it IoT, be it consumer, we don't talk small. We always talk big. And that itself is, one is doing things and the other thing is doing at scale with such quality. I mean, absolutely, commendable, and kudos to our telcos and the technos. So when it comes to the global practices and specifically towards the enterprise, what we see is, and it's in fact more driven with the 5G technology coming of age. While we have had a variety of these connectivity solutions which have been primarily consumer focused, 5G is the first mobility technology, first generation of mobility technology towards enterprises, and which is where there is all this interest about what does connectivity, advanced connectivity, intelligent connectivity means towards the enterprise. And in that regard, I would say the timing is also right, because the enterprises and the industry themselves are transforming. As Sebel also mentioned, they are all now adopting Industry 4.0 and then becoming more digital, becoming more data driven. And as they, embark and progress on this journey, they cannot do this without the technology and the connectivity evolving and upgrading itself to meet the needs. And a very simple example would be, we have all seen the mobility journey as individual people and as consumers. If I were to give you today a 2G feature phone and ask you to, book an Uber or do a order delivery or use just any app, would you be able to do it? And the answer is no. You need a smartphone, you need an application. So like what Sebel said, it's a combination of network, devices, and applications which all together, come and converge and build out these positive outcomes. So what is happening now is on the enterprise side, we see this shift happening where the enterprises are now becoming more and more digital, more and more automated, and in that they're using technology. And when we talk of technology, I mean, it is not just one technology. It is a combination of technologies. So IoT in the industrial world becomes industrial IoT, AI, compute, hybrid compute, on-premise compute, cloud compute, and of course, connectivity. Erstwhile, enterprises have always been wired, and now they are moving towards wireless. As these enterprises have been moving towards wireless connectivity, it is not that they are adopting wireless connectivity only with 5G. As part of this transition, most of the enterprises have experimented with the different wireless connectivities available. Sebel himself gave the examples of SD-WANs and the others, and in fact, even there is proprietary RF solutions available, Wi-Fi based solutions available, short-range technology solutions available. 5G offers a more reliable, industry-ready, and a more convergent offering. And so, if you look at any industry, its operations span across its products and services, its own operations, and then post-sales support and supply chain and logistics. Now, if you look at any of these operations, there is a lot of connectivity which is at play, because a lot of end-to-end processes and have to be run. There is a lot of human and machine interaction. There is a lot of data insights which are driven and actions taken, and that's the play. So in very simple words, the global shift which we are seeing is in a very systematic or a stepwise procedure, is that the enterprises are now becoming more intelligent, more digital, more data driven. As part of this evolution of enterprises, they are adopting more and more technology, and connectivity refresh automatically becomes a must have in that. And today, to bring in agility, to bring in flexibility, to even reduce cost, to reduce time to market, I think using wireless connectivity becomes hygiene. It becomes common sense, and which is where 5G comes into the picture. Of course, the entire ecosystem readiness of the devices, of the applications, everything is required. So it's going to be a journey, but then this journey has already started, and this is what we say. Globally, the sectors which we see where there is maximum traction or maximum adoption of this advanced connectivity, intelligent connectivity, leveraging 5G is primarily manufacturing, and manufacturing itself becomes a big sector because it's transversal. It's across all industry verticals. The other sectors are all the process-oriented industry sectors, Industry 4.0, metals, mining, transport hubs, supply chain, logistics. And then, of course, public safety is another one where we are seeing a major shift, specifically with all the public safety agencies now moving from the erstwhile, professional mobile terrestrial radios, tetras and all, towards 4G and 5G. So that is the shift which we are seeing.
Right. Thanks for sharing, Monica. Just have one follow-up question for you. So you talked about some key verticals where we are seeing adoption picking up. You spoke about manufacturing as one sector. Within manufacturing, any specific use cases that you would like to call out in terms of where we are seeing some traction, Monica, as far as manufacturing is concerned?
So, when we look at, what wireless connectivity and what intelligent connectivity enables in manufacturing, the first and the most important thing is mobility. So, the mobile operations which are. So, one of the top use cases which we see are mobility-based applications. So, be it intralogistic mobile robots, be it any hoisting or any such material movement use cases, or even handheld digital gadgets. So, one is the mobility-based use cases. That's one. The other one, to which even in fact Sebel alluded, that now when you have a connectivity which is not only wireless but high bandwidth and low latency, you suddenly can do a lot of multimedia based use cases. So any computer vision, real-time multimedia streaming based use cases augmented with real-time AI and analytics. So be it quality assurance, be it safety surveillance, be it real-time monitoring and remote control. These are the other things which get activated. And the third thing which is getting activated is that when you have a reliable and even if wherever needed, a mission critical high reliable connectivity, mission critical talk services, remote expert assistance, immersive assistance via digital twins and digital avatars, including use of metaverse in a near future. So these are some of the top use cases we are seeing. They are obviously, as a starting point, as hygiene, triggered by the mobility aspect, but they become more and more powerful when you augment it with the high throughput, the reliability, the accurate location positioning, and also the high quality wide area coverage which you get vis-a-vis other wireless technologies.
Right. Thanks, Monica. So I think we seem to have lost Saibal. But so what
I
I'll
realized that. I don't know if he's able to join again. I was seeing that his connectivity is playing up.
Yeah, so while we wait for him to come back, let me again continue with you, Monica. So now you talked about some of the global trends that are kind of playing out. Now, any specific learnings from what you've been seeing globally? One is anything that you think will be good for the Indian enterprises, any global learnings for the Indian enterprises. Secondly, you've also been interacting with a lot of telcos as potential partners. So anything that you've seen what they are doing in, say, developed markets like the US, Europe, and other countries, uh, any good learnings that you think which the Indian telcos should perhaps look at to make sure that they're a lot more impactful as they take solutions to enterprise customers in India? So it's like a two-part question: global learnings for Indian enterprise and also for the telco providers. Monica.
Sure. So, starting with the Indian enterprises, I think one of the key, I would say, global learning would be is to start strategizing and start building your strategy and roadmap towards adoption of advanced connectivity. And I would specifically use the word advanced connectivity and not 5G. It is that when you are developing your vision for your future intelligent 4.0 strategy and all, with that definitely look at connectivity, and this is something which I even discussed before, that the two go hand in hand. Otherwise, very soon you will basically be trying to become more and more digital and more autonomous without having the means and the technology to support it. So the first thing towards the enterprises is to seriously start strategizing and building a roadmap. And one key aspect of this strategy and roadmap is to start learning, becoming more aware, becoming more knowledgeable, and in fact, starting piloting the technology. There is a learning curve required. Enterprise operations have their nuances. Enterprise operations have also their requirements with respect to being ultra reliable, with respect to having very low downtimes, and the whole specificity towards their operations. So for that, the solution will, or the trust and the solution will not be ready day zero. So hence, towards the enterprises, be open to experimentation, be open to understanding these new technologies, and trying to start experimenting. And to support that, a similar request from the telcos, that while they are definitely, and as Saibal covered that extensively, they are definitely going out and launching 5G and all. I think, and trust based and a very I would say technology driven understanding and an unbiased connectivity advisory from the telcos towards the enterprises, as the title of this session is, help the enterprises define their connectivity playbook. So, along with the strategy and roadmap, what you need to define is your connectivity playbook. So, help the enterprises define the connectivity playbook. Which all technologies should they use? Which technology they should use for what kind of operations? At what time, which technology will be mature enough to use? What should be, the transition point? And then, of course, a very, very commonly asked question: where is the ROI? Where is the return on investment? So, how would they get the return on investment? And even perhaps a little bit of a shift of a mind frame, where perhaps in some cases the ROI may not be immediate or may not be derived immediately from one application, but a combination of applications. So even a change in the thought process, in the business model, in the approach, I think all of that is needed. So it's a two-way street. The enterprises need to move, the telcos need to move, and most critically, the other aspect in which, in fact, Sebel didn't mention it significantly as part of his thing, the telcos also have a key role in building up the ecosystem. The entire partnership, the ecosystem, ensuring that the devices are available, ensuring that there are enough startups and enough homegrown solutions catering to the different enterprise needs. So telcos not only have a responsibility of understanding the enterprises and creating this, their strategy, roadmap, and playbook, but also ensuring that the solutions are available to suit the playbook. And in India, given the volumes, the geographic spread, will always have its own unique solutions. Very similar to global ones, but with local adaptations and what works best for India. So
local adaptations and also at local price points.
Absolutely. So local adaptations, they both go hand in hand, right?
Yeah.
With the kind of volumes we have in India, we can very, very easily, justify having local solutions and those price points, because the ROI comes from the volumes and the scale.
Right now, you talked about the need for enterprises to experiment. I think,
if I may add to that word, it's
sorry, Saibal, yeah.
I said, if I may add to that word of Monica, it should be global.
Yes, global.
It should be global. It's global plus local.
Local, yeah. Right. I just, Monica, you mentioned the need for enterprises to experiment. I think what is also needed is for them to be a lot more persevering, right? Because while you want ROI, that's not going to come in a few months, right? So I think the need for them to experiment along with be a little more patient and persevere, because some of these use cases will take some time to really realize that ROI. And I think that calls for the enterprises to be perhaps a little more patient and not expect results like in a quarter or so, perhaps, right? Given that many of the solutions are still evolving.
So, Sunil, actually, my view in this is that enterprises by DNA are used to the long haul, and specifically the large enterprises. Their product development span years and everything. I think, to be fair to the enterprises, each enterprise has to pick and choose its priorities, because while they are going for an industry 4.0 mega shift and other technology related shift, they also have to keep their operations running and also cater to the growth of the operations. So it's that typical ambidextrity challenge of maintaining your current as well as being ready for the future. So, and which is where that thing of exactly having a roadmap, at what stage, what do they need to introduce, and having this roadmap and a playbook is very, very important. And in that, more than perseverance, I think what is also needed from enterprises is to, when they plan this roadmap, have something now immediate short term and then have a future. Because even 5G is not, everything is not ready and available today. Like, for example, a classic example being the 5G devices. The devices are still work in progress, and specifically the industrial devices. That should not be an impediment that they don't start with what is available, or start with 4G and then build a roadmap to 5G. But then, of course, if there are certain enterprises who would not want to be early adopters and would want to be followers, I think to each their own.
Right. Thanks, Monica. So before I get to Saibal again, I request the audience to please start posting your questions on either the chat window or the Q&A window. We will take those questions right away. So let me move to Saibal. So Saibal, you mentioned about the breadth of Airtel's capabilities, very well articulated. Now, I just wanted to understand purely from an enterprise standpoint in India, what kind of trends that we are seeing playing out, Saibal, especially when it comes to intelligent connectivity adoption. So you can even go broader than just pure connectivity, but just wanted to understand some of the trends that are playing out in India from an enterprise standpoint, sir.
The first thing is very interesting is the enterprise domain wants to grow, and that's the will to grow is very, very important. Without that, nothing will happen. Right. So if I say the CIO fraternity or the IT fraternity today across the country is very, very hungry to do a lot of stuff, and of course the various large organizations, their boardrooms are also pushing them to make things happen, which is conducive to the industrial requirements, or perhaps, if I may say, straight off add to the P&L. How does the P&L play up? So today, the CIO of a company, of an enterprise, is no more a facilitator, but he is actually at the epicenter of driving the business. So for that, today, there are so many things which the CIO is doing. Now, CIO is not only an IT guy, he is doing everything today. So what I could say from a trend line perspective, and we definitely discussed a lot of stuff about various solutions being there. But first thing first, if I may say, the IoT is at the juncture where it is actually getting into a different level, because the connectivity is no challenge. The application stack is definitely raising up the bar. So with the application stack raising up the bar, there are a lot of things which we are getting into. So today, if somebody wants a vehicle to be, repaired at a remote corner, I can just give you example. A big bolter machine or a JCB machine, if that goes awry, that can be repaired from a command center today. That's the technology which is available. Now, obviously, there are device challenges which are there, but these are the things which are of the immediate and near future. The trend lines are coming. Expectation in this particular application use case is, suppose the expert is sitting at the computer, he should be able to visually see where is the problem. He will locate it from a, today he can do it from a normal whatever he can do testings as such, which is on a basic connectivity. But beyond that, he can get into the device with the video analytics being there, and he can do anything and everything. That solution is also available, and it's getting into a trend line. So today you don't actually need, when you are stuck in a particular road, if you are, just imagine, I'm just talking from a use case perspective. If I am the driver and I don't know anything about the car, I just connect to the command center and somebody will instruct me, this do XYZ, and your car is back on rails. Just imagine what is the convenience which we are getting into. So
Right.
that's the perspective which is coming in. So IoT is becoming a very, very big differentiator there, because you're not stuck anywhere. That's the biggest thing. You are getting a lot of stuff. Not only getting stuck, you need entertainment to the highest score. Today you need infotainment. That's the impediment perhaps today. I mean, how do you want to do the infotainment? There are various degrees of infotainment which can be done. So those all technologies being there, IoT being the basic platform. And of course, at the back end, you want to monitor something, say the driver, how is he driving, how the insurance guy can make a claim about a car, what is the premium which should be as per the driver's driving behavior. So those are analytics which is very, very important. So please understand what we are getting into with this IoT application. We are getting into complete financial benefits.
Right.
So the insurance company is going to save a lot of money and perhaps charge the right premium for an ORI driver, and for a perfect driver, the premium would be lower. Just imagine what we are getting into. So these are all things which is there now in reality, and IoT become a big platform to enable this. That's a big trend line. Second is on the cloud migration and hybrid solution. So cloud migration is also one more thing which is extremely important. Today, without cloud, I think it is no, on the lighter side of it, cloud is actually a reality now, and everybody wants to be on cloud because people have understood what is the essence of being a cloud, on a cloud as such. Because you have the fun is one is the fungibility, you have the, you also get speed into it, and you get at the drop of a hat, you can increase, you can decrease. That's the biggest plus which you get. So you ultimately you have the power in your hands. You are not price a particular payment which you are doing on a recurring basis. That is also adding to your benefits on cost from an enterprise standpoint. Then, of course, there is data analytics and artificial intelligence, which is coming in a big manner. This is extremely critical today. Whatever I talked about in the last two examples which I talked, it's all about data analytics. And data analytics is one particular key thing. How do you do that? How do you deploy artificial intelligence? Today, if I may say, we've got applications which we can get into, that we have got so many subscriber base, say XYZ subscriber base. Our subscriber base, we can tell you what subscriber is interested in what. That sort of analytics is so important that we can give the particular audience the right behavior, what he or she wants to see or wants to be enact. Those are all cues which are very important. Then, of course, edge computing. That's a thing which is going to be extremely important going forward. That is a trend line which is coming in with Kubernetes being there and all this stuff being there.
IBM also has partnered with us in not many things in this. Edge cloud is going to be the next, I would say, growth area. Why I say that? Because today, if I talk about hyperscalers, they have pods in very limited areas in the country, but that adds to latency. How do you get over latency? And if you want to do there and then, that immediate solution has to be taken care of. You need an edge cloud available. Now, with 120 edge data centers across the country, I think we are at the best position to offer this as a service. So this is another trend line which is coming into. Of course, with all these being there is enhanced security which is going to be there. So security getting into the OT environment, IT environment, we all heard IT environment security is there, but OT environment also security is extremely important. That's another trend line which is coming into. All the CIOs have actually now becoming CISOs, CISOs, in fact, who are getting into OT security. The biggest security threat which people have once they get into Industry 4.0 is OT security. So that's another interesting area which is going to be. So all these particular perspectives, these are the trend lines which we are doing. But in the evolving landscape, what we are doing, we can offer, these are comprehensive solutions, of course, which we talked about, we can definitely do. But as I said, we are not master of all. So here, the play of collaboration and partnership is extremely important. Like Airtel IQ is one area which is what we talk about. So Airtel IQ is a solution which we offer, whereby the customer, suppose you do a, today,
Saibal, you there?
So that's the way it is going to be. So this particular collaboration, of course, we've got a platform which is we are working with Twilio for this and all this. So these are all collaboration platforms which we have created bundled with the connectivity solutions which we have. So this is another piece of extreme importance, which is from a customer experience standpoint and customer reach out standpoint. So if I may say, how do I maximize my sales, or perhaps any enterprise house, how can they maximize sales? We can definitely facilitate there. How can we give a great customer experience? We definitely have a plan to give this, a bundle between the platform owner as well as the connectivity solution, which is by us. But we are a single face for that. Then, of course, networking infrastructure is which we are definitely, it's an ever growing particular perspective. If I may just give you some figures, last quarter we had invested a capex of 9,000 crores. So you can understand the network is one area we will keep on investing, and we'll keep creating as per the best of the class, and we will be up always there. As we speak today, 5G we are deploying, but 6G discussions have started.
Right.
So that's the way these trend lines are. Then, of course, various industry-specific solutions. If I may talk about industry-specific solutions, give you an example of the ambulance connectivity. There are many other applications within healthcare. Healthcare has one of the various, I would say this is one of the biggest area where the growth will happen. I would say reality would be robotic surgery is there. It is going to happen now. Somebody sitting in a command center can do a surgery for a person sitting in a village in a satellite medical center. That is going to be there with 5G, all going to be there. So these are all industry specific solutions which can be done. If I also talk about from an automobile manufacturing sector, what we say how do you do quality control? There is a lot of wastage when you have a car which comes in where the painting is happening or something is there. At the QC perspective, you can apply digital twin there. With the digital twin being there and with the with the 5G being there, the depth of distance would be enabled, that the rejections would come down drastically. With the rejections coming down drastically, of course, that will be another big piece of wastage, which is, I would say, any and every industry will have. War on waste is one of the particular key parameters for anybody and everybody in the industry houses today. That will add on to the benefit for any industry house. And lastly, of course, we as an organization believe the customer-centric approach. What all I just articulated and talked about, it's all the genesis has happened because of the customer. Because as an organization, we feel there are only two sorts of people in an organization. One, people who serve the customers directly, and second, people who serve the people who serve customers. There's no third category of people, and that's the way it is. Life goes on like that, and we will make things happen as per the customer's demand, because the epicenter is the customer.
Absolutely. Well, very well articulated. Saibal, thanks for that. Let me move to Monica before I take any questions. So, Monica, I just wanted to get your view on potential private 5G. I mean, if you want to take this, it'll be great. But we started to see, especially US, Europe, a lot of private 5G deployments which are being rolled out. I know India, we might have a challenge at this point in time, given that spectrum is still not allowed to be sold to an enterprise directly at this point in time. But generally, from a private 5G standpoint, any global things, takeaways that you want to share from your standpoint? How are
Sunil,
yeah.
Sunil, how I see it is 5G, there are different solution options possible. There
Yeah.
is on-prem dedicated 5G private network, there is hybrid, then there is shared. So, whether it is provided by a telco or it is via a private spectrum and then the enterprise chooses whom they want to work with, these are all different, solution variants. Private 5G in India is absolutely happening, and in fact, Airtel has also set up some private 5G solutions. It is just one of the solution options which all the telcos, both Airtel, Jio, and in fact even other telcos like BSNL and Vodafone Idea and all are in a position to offer. So there is nothing stopping the solution. What we need is a dialogue between the enterprise and the telco as to what works for them. And of course, coming together and being willing to start on this journey. Right now, I see in India, the entire enterprise adoption is a bit slow. I mean, I think that's the only word which I can use. The interest and the enthusiasm is yet to pick up, and perhaps it could also be linked to the that most of the Indian enterprises are starting on the Industry 4.0 journey. So once they are kind of already clear and more established and clear on that, then automatically the supporting, the enablers then come into play. So it is just a matter of timing. I don't see any reason why. And specific to India, given the fact that we have such large scale, I think the telcos are in a very, very good position to offer all these variants of 5G solutions, because then they become like the powerhouse of one to many and of scaling the solution. And the moment they have the volumes and the scale, automatically the prices also come down, which will then only further help adoption. So I actually don't see any issue with that in India. And globally, there are many countries where the spectrum has only and only been given to the telco. So there's no exception which India has made.
Right. Thanks, Murugan. Saibal, I just want to come back to so we spoke about wireless, wired, and all that, but I also wanted to very quickly touch upon satellite connectivity, Saibal, because we still have this digital divide. Right? There are lots of parts of India, especially rural parts of India, which are not connected for various reasons. Maybe you can't lay fiber there, maybe laying a tower is difficult, but I know that Airtel has some big bets as far as satellite is concerned. I think OneWeb is one initiative where you're launching these low Earth orbit satellites. So do you see a situation where satellite connectivity, especially with low Earth orbit satellites, kind of coexist with all the other traditional forms of connectivity? Saibal, you see enterprises looking at hybrid kind of solutions which will have satellite in the mix?
Yeah, so tell you frankly, in fact, that is the reason we have invested so much in OneWeb. And OneWeb, come July, perhaps August onwards, you will see OneWeb live and kicking in India. And what is the entire thought process out here is that there are certain areas and patches with such a vast network also you can't cover at a point of time. But definitely with OneWeb being there and with the low orbit satellites, latency also would be taken care of. And that's the reason, because today why satellite is not preferred is because of low, very high latencies. And how much of bandwidth can you deploy because of that? So all that particular thing would be demystified with OneWeb once it is completely in action. And if you see, there is a lot of
action we have already done with earlier we were actually launching satellites from Russia. Now this time, in fact, you must have heard that we've just launched satellites from India itself, from
Yes.
Sriharikota. So that's all being done today. The network is going to be a combination of both, which is going to be the terrestrial network, the RF network, which is the wireless RF, or perhaps the dongle, whatever you can talk about, and the satellite. So satellite is going to be an integral part of it, which we see, and this will also help us in the maritime piece also. If I go back, in fact, in the how can we cover the entire oceans also, that will also be there. So OneWeb, that's the reason that investment is going on, and that's the reason the network is being created. So overall, it is going to be a combination. There are far and wide locations which is not covered today, and till some time back, in fact, Andaman and Nicobar also was not covered. If you remember, we
Right.
just have had a fiber which has just gone there live. But before that, this entire was run on a satellite in Andaman and Nicobar. In fact, Lakshadweep Islands still run that way only. So this is a reality, and we will be it is going to be a combination of both the perspectives which is going to be there. We are going to coexist, because any and every media is always going to be important. We can't run. I mean, a media cannot die out, because it is not easy to go and connect each and every nook and corner of the world. Though that's our desire to do it terrestrial, but it doesn't want to happen that way.
Okay, thanks. Meena, do we have any questions that we can take? Either on the chat or Q&A, I don't see anything. Meena? No, we don't have any questions. Okay, so I'll just maybe one last question.
Sunil, there is one on the chat.
There is one? Okay.
So perhaps I can read it. It says, what's the plan for fiberization of towers? It's still comparatively low, 35%, and it's imperative for underpinning the 5G with speed, latency, SLAs to carry end-to-end. So I think this is more for Saibal.
So Saibal, yeah.
Plan for fiberization of towers, if you would like to comment, please.
This is from Malini Rao from Analysis Mason. Thanks, Malini, for that question. Saibal, you want to take that, please? Fiberization of towers. Oh, there's one more question. Okay. Okay, yeah, I can see that. Yeah, Saibal, can you take this question? Plan for fiberization of towers. We are still low, right? 30% odd. 30,
You see,
35%.
this is so this is an ominous task to be done, and it is underway as we speak. This is a continuous process which we'll keep on doing. And why this particular I would say 35% to where why we only reach 35%. There's also reason to that, because at the end of the day, when we were actually today everybody expects the network of 5G to be available everywhere at any given point of time. Nobody wants to give us any point of any time that you have announced 5G, your expected network should be available tomorrow. That's the expectation. Why not tomorrow? Today, right now. So the speed to deploy, obviously with fiberization and all those statistics, obviously takes a lot of time. It of course there is also a cost which is also involved. I'm not saying that cost is also is not a deterrent, but it's a combination of both, and it's a task which will keep on happening. Today, one more thing is, I would say if networks can be co-shared between operators, that will be of much importance, and it will be a great idea if we are able to do that. Today there are challenges on this particular account, though there are models available, but people have their own thoughts on this particular piece. But definitely it would be a great idea if we can do this particular thing happen. Of course, if I go westwards, there is a lot of network sharing which keeps on happening. In our part of the world today, hardly there are any operators left. It's only four operators, if I may say, which are left now. But of course, still there is a sharing which can happen, and which will actually accelerate this particular perspective. But nevertheless, as a company, as an organization, this is our major focus. We are deploying fiber across, but there is a speed to do everything, right? There is a 5G rollout which has to be done. There is a fiberization which also has to be done. So there is what you do, what and when. You will have to do a trade-off at certain point of time in certain things, with the cost and with the deployment and with the service which is to be expected. Because at the end of the day, as our chairman
said, Airtel is a national asset today, right? So if being a national asset, we will also have to make sure that we are able to service our customers all across. It is not only for the enterprise customers all across. That's the whole perspective. So there's a trade-off between the speed and the deployment which keeps on happening. But we will be there. Nevertheless, I can't give you a timeline when it will be happening completely. But our question is, our thought process, that is definitely around the corner, and we'll make it happen.
Okay.
And perhaps, Sunil, I can just add to what Sebel said.
Sure,
What we
Monika. Yeah.
forget is that there is also fiberization happening in India thanks to BBNL, the broadband emission.
Yeah.
That is also again India, while it's going to the gram panchayats and all, and that fiber is also again it's a national infra. So I mean, of course, the fiberization of the towers will help in more ubiquitous and much better 5G rollouts, but that fiberization also will complement this.
Yeah, so Monika, Saibal, see, that's it's. I know it's still work in progress, but then you're still constrained by that issue, right? Because on the RAN side, you might have very high speed, but connecting towers and we are still using microwave backhaul and all that, will still be limited by poor experience, right? I mean, I think we have to really double down in terms of fiberization, right? And making sure that your bandwidth carrying capacity is much higher to really support that 5G experience which is being talked about. Right. So,
So there are other technology also which are being explored. Let me tell you, if I may say, there are laser technologies also available which are explored, which are perhaps which are in the initial stages today. But everything cannot. If I say reality, connecting everything on fiber, I really don't know. Will it happen? Will it not happen? I can't say that. I mean, I don't have a. I'm not Bijan Daruwala. I can't say that. But the present perspective, I can tell you that the efforts are on. Things will happen. Obviously, it will go by as per prioritization, which will keep on being there. But at the end of the day, there are technologies also being looked at. If I also say more than fiberization, there is E-band solution, which is a very important perspective I may talk about.
Yeah.
That also helps because I can carry a lot of pipe, which is much more fatter. So that will cost this E-band solution we are deploying. So that is another perspective which is going to be immense progress for us, because what the question comes out in this particular forum is, how do we support 5G? For 5G, I need a stronger backhaul. With that, I think the E-band solution is definitely going to give us that particular benefit. So we are deploying E-band solution as such, which gives me a fatter pipe. So it cannot be that my capillary pipe is fatter, but my backhaul is not there.
Right, Saibal.
And Sunil, going forward, we might even use millimeter wave for backhaul. So there will be 5G,
yes.
not only for the last mile, but 5G for backhaul as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Why not? Yeah. We have two more questions. Let me address this to Monika next. So Monika, this question is, what is the biggest barrier to adoption for enterprise in India as far as intelligent connectivity is concerned? What are the biggest barrier?
So I think with respect to India, I don't see, I mean, it's a bit difficult to say what is the biggest barrier. I think, in my opinion, then if I have to kind of think, timing would be the biggest barrier. Then that when and how do you, convince the enterprises to start and how do you justify the return of investment? So that basically there are two ways. Either we wait for, the other more developed countries to adopt and see the technology and its outcomes to be proven, and then we adopt, or like what Sebel said, we do and develop our own local solutions and we go through that journey ourselves. I think somewhere India hasn't been able to decide between the two. In the past, we have taken the route of waiting for the technology to mature, be ready, and then we have adopted. Lately, we have shown traits of, at least on the consumer side, to be in sync with the global trends and being early adopters. Enterprises, I think very soon we will get to know. For me, I think the biggest impediment is this timing thing, and I'm just getting started. And then, like I said, also this little bit of getting away from the hype of 5G. Look at advanced connectivity. It has to be a convergent multi-connectivity solution, and there are various routes and various options to start on that journey. It is not all just about 5G.
Right, Monika, do you think cost of 5G devices, the radios, is that a factor perhaps that cost has to come down even further to perhaps drive adoption?
Sunil, this thing about cost coming down as the technology matures is a story of every generation of technology. If you look at 3G, 4G, in fact, even when you look at first time when the mobile calling came up, I mean, I have used 16 rupees outgoing, 9 rupees incoming per call and everything. So it's a journey. And believe me, with every generation, the timeline is only becoming shorter and faster. I think if the demand is there, the supply will happen. Even today, we have devices available. But yes, the core OT level devices for core OT, control devices and those kind of devices, that again is an industrial product development we are talking about. That will not happen immediately. But then using 5G gateways, routers, at least the non-mission critical and the non-time deterministic applications can get started, and that will come in, say, 2 years from now.
Okay, thanks. Saibal, I wanted to ask you this. This question has come from Tapan Shah, who's a transformation manager. His question is, does this whole ecosystem of connectivity have any hazard to the society? I think perhaps he meant maybe radiation hazards because you're using very high frequencies and all that. So I think maybe that is the context behind that question. Your thoughts, Saibal?
Everybody has a phone in hand. That also radiates. Everybody has a Wi-Fi at home. That also radiates. So it's a myth, I will tell you. This is just a myth. We have to get over this. The faster we get over this, we'll have much more reliable solutions and reliable networks, at least at homes. That's a challenge which I also face. I'm sure every one of us faces. It is not the service provider doesn't want to connect. It is there. These are the challenges and these are the impediments, which is perhaps for that network not to be growing. So it is just a thought that if I have a tower and this, there are so many papers which is for it also. There are so many papers which are against it also. If I would say without a network across the globe, you cannot have connectivity. So it is just if you say that I don't want a tower, but I need connectivity, then you're dreaming. It doesn't happen that way. And I have not seen anybody, saying that, or perhaps, there may be many people on the forum saying that what you are talking is not right. And there are many people who are saying that what you're talking is right. Because I have not seen that there are medical complications which occur because of this. Because medical complications can occur because of the cell phone also.
Yep.
If there is a radiation hazard, the radiation hazard can come from you also and from an AP also, which is an access point at home, or a wireless network which is at home. So I do not think that is a problem. It is just a mindset issue. We need to get over it. The faster we get over it, and with this, I can give everybody a message on the call, on this particular webinar, that guys, please be champions and proponents to drive this away so that we have a solid connectivity available at least at home and we can do our respective works. I think that's a challenge. Even I face a challenge. Do I still work with Airtel? There are impediments because of my RWA doesn't let me do. What do I do?
Right. And I fully agree. I totally concur with what you said, Saibal, because some of these myths are really unfounded, right? It is, so I totally concur. I think Monica perhaps would also, I'm sure, concur with what you had mentioned in terms of these myths around hazards because of radiation and all that stuff. You've been hearing about this for years.
So in that regard, even a microwave radiates.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's just not that telecom equipment which radiates. And you would have been through those talks where people were averse on using LPG gas, people were averse on using microwave. I think at times we have to give technology a chance.
Yeah.
And get away from these myths.
Right, perfect. I think good note to end the conversation. So we've completely run out of time. So at this juncture, I would like to thank Saibal and Monica for sharing your. Yeah,
I will add one point. I will just, Sunil,
sure.
I want to add one point. What Monica was touching upon was for private networks. I can give you my experience. The private networks, though adoption is pretty low in India, but I'm sure in the next 2 years down the line, we'll have a lot of private networks which will come in. I can say there are very few enterprise houses who've got private networks deployed right now. Very few. We can actually count in numbers. Then they are getting a lot of benefit out of it.
But the major perspective is that how do we change this particular adaptability? People have to think differently. I have seen my examples, which I've seen and I've read a lot internationally, and I'm sure Monica is a global expert. She's got a much better exposure than me. I have seen private networks given, they started with a use case of 4, but with the same network, they were able to get 800 use cases run in the same network. So it is, the myth is all about private networks is you first have to deploy the network. So you have to take the bitter pill first. Once you get the bitter pill, after that, it is actually a highway you've created. You can keep getting the highest number of fast cards. That's the analogy, if I may say. So once you have, say, with a person who started with 4 use cases and he gets 800 use cases, look at the amount of ROI he would have by the time he reached 800 use cases. Because for him, the private network is free. Or perhaps, it is led his life already, but he is still getting benefits. That's what the network strength is. Just people have to understand that. I know we are in a domain, when we are in a country, we are very cost conscious. Volumes will definitely drive our prices down. I am pretty confident about that because we have volumes, we have people. That's the biggest strength what we have. And I think Monica, between you and me, we will have to keep on harbinging on this particular point. How can we make things happen for private entity? I'm very passionate about private entity, let me tell you.
Right. Monica, your response?
No, fully agreed, Sunil. I mean, that's exactly, that's what I alluded to when I said the timing and the response being slow and absolutely working hard to making it happen. In fact, I personally am even working very closely with the Government of India, with the Interministerial Committee. There's a very, very strong push from the Government of India also. We just have to make it happen. It's a process, it's a journey. And like what Seval said, we just need to start, and then the journey happens. And I don't want to keep comparing and everything, but isn't this how the B2C world also happened? How many applications did we have initially when the first smartphones came in and the first internet connectivity came in? We were only using it for internet browsing. The apps, I still remember the first few phones maximum supported 2 or 3 apps. Now the problem is you start with 64, 128 GB data, just storage, just to ensure that you have enough storage for the apps.
Right. Thank you so much, Monica, and thank you, Saibal. I think it was a fascinating discussion. Friends, unfortunately, we couldn't get Sarajit Jha, who was also supposed to join the panel, the Chief Digital Officer of Tata Steel, because he had a personal challenge, a personal emergency actually, and because of which he didn't join us. But Saibal and Monica kind of more than made up for his absence. Great perspectives from you, Saibal, in terms of what Airtel is doing in the space, how we are well positioned to really take advantage of the opportunities that are available in India. And Monica, thank you for giving a lot of global perspectives as it relates to intelligent connectivity, some of the learnings that the enterprises can take, some of the telcos can take. I think great discussion. Thanks also, Saibal, for sharing some examples where you're seeing where intelligent connectivity is being leveraged. So I think, friends, great discussion. I think we are at a cusp of a real digital revolution, so to speak. I'm sure we have just kind of scratched the surface. A huge opportunity out there, and I think enterprises have no choice but to adopt these technologies. I think it's not just a question of growth, but even survivability. If you don't deploy these kind of technologies, if you don't leverage intelligent connectivity, then forget about growth. Survivability itself is a question. So on that note, I wish to hand this over back to Meena. Meena, over to you.
It was great. Thank you so much, everybody, to join us on this amazing discussion that we had with such great panelists. From the entire organization, from the heart of the IIT, I thank you all for giving us the time today, and we hope to answer all your questions. You can write to us and visit the YouTube channel and the Facebook channels and the Airmeet sessions to know more and more about the intelligent connectivity. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.